do a little voice. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I will start again.
So sorry.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Also, warm welcome from Germany. I hope everybody is having a great evening tonight. I just want to put a little bit, say a little bit over our company and what we are doing, and then we go ahead with the main target. What is the conformation and elements for a good dressage horse? I think I introduce myself a little bit more. People who don't know me. I'm Francois Kasselmann. I'm 42 years old. I'm now the CEO of Kasselman. Kasselman has been over 1,000 years in our family. And so we have been always in horse breeding. Maybe a couple of 100 years ago, it was not necessary for a sport horse. But at least for a farming horse, and okay, everybody knows there was wars, and there was also horses that produced for the wars. But nowadays, thanks God, we still have wars, but we don't have to have horses into the wars anymore. Yeah, so we have in our property about 280 horses ridden every day. And one barn, we have another barn where we have about 300 horses, broodmares, and a little bit like we call it the kindergarten or preschool, where the horses get the first time contact under the saddle. And so in general, close to 600 horses. We have about 100 employees by us working. So this is one part of the company. So, and then everybody have known that we work over 40 years, more than 40 years, with our partner, Mr. Schockemüller, together. And he has a little breeding farm in Eastern Germany called the Lewitzstadt, where we also work close in, helping and selling, and so we have in total every year around 250 to 280 dressage offsprings a year. And then in 1980 there was a special auction made called Performance Sales International, PSI in short version. It was founded in the United States, and we had our first auction in Newport, Rhode Island, 1981. And we were flying over, or my father and Paul flew over about 60 horses to that auction. And those times it was probably a lot of effort. Now 60 horses to fly, it's not a big effort anymore. It's like easy. So, and then already half a year later, they had the second PSI auction in Ocala. This was also a very big success, and we have been sponsoring a lot of shows there in Sarasota and. And then there was a third auction planned actually in Hollywood, and then somehow my father had a bad stomach feeling, and so we went to a little town in Germany called Ankum. And still since then, it's held every year in the second week of December in Ankum. So this was a little short version of what we are doing and how it is. And I think you have a little bit the commercial part in the video background there. I think it's nicer to see some things. First, I think we're showing a video of our last PSI auction, just a little bit impressions. For sure, also some horses.
I'll play it now, and the volume should be, I hope, is good for everyone. So hang on.
So this was the first video, and this was the last PSI auction where we had a very big success. And just to let people know, about 95% of those horses we breed ourselves. So we have a lot of information about breeding, about health history of the breeding, about characters and sports career for sure. So we know the horses more or less inside out when we develop them for this auction. And I think maybe you can have the second trailer one time. Then
Yes.
Trust and comprehensive information are the essential foundation of a successful partnership. According to this maxim, the Hof Kasselmann has been selling high quality and internationally successful sport horses for decades. A reliable service for all customer requirements is the base of every horse sale. We would like to offer you the perfect advice and are therefore always available for a personal conversation to give you complete information about your horses at any time. We offer you this constant service for all our online auctions as well as therefore regular sale. Contact us by phone or simply via Skype, FaceTime or WhatsApp and let us introduce you to your desired candidate. Examine the horse from every angle and convince yourself of their exterior, type and correctness. Experience the horse live in a video chat, being walked in hand, resting in the box while saddling and in their daily training routine. We are happy to give you an insight into the horse's feeding. We will show you its behavior at the farrier, at the vet or when traveling. We invite you to experience your future sport horse live in all day-to-day situations. Comprehensive information and trust. That is the basic idea behind our Hof Kasselmann customer service. Give us a call or drop by. We look forward to your visit at any time.
Thank you very much for your attention for that short commercial block. I think now we go a little bit into the main target, confirmation and other elements for a dressage horse. What is the best? What is the perfect confirmation? I don't know. There is so many horses in the international top sport, what maybe have a little bit of crooked leg, maybe a long back, but performing very well. So I don't see a perfect confirmation. For sure, if a horse is very built downhill, it is very difficult for that horse to become a top horse, to sit down and doing a good pirouette if everything is downhill. But there is horses also what have the willingness to combine this, and riders who can change a horse, and but a rider can't make a front legs longer. It's not possible. So there is for me, it is for sure a horse what is standing correct on the legs. It's very important, especially as a young horse. But okay, like I said before, there can be also maybe the hoof is a little bit flatter than the other. if you have the history, maybe from the breeding, what have been coming out, and which horses have been out of that mare and breeding combination, have these horses been similar in this conformation? This gives you idea, and later on, when a horse performs well, then you don't look anymore on that conformation. Because also nowadays, I think our farriers, let's say we're talking about hoofs, they have so much knowledge, and especially the vets, they can't change a leg, but they can maintain something. And I like also with some people buying a horse by us, and there is a, let's say, a radiograph issue. But then I ask to the vet, is it maintainable? Yes, absolutely. So if for example, if we all would x-rays ourselves, for sure I'm not passing a vet check. But so this is what I mean. You always have to look what I can maintain and what I can't maintain, and where I have a high risk and a low risk and a medium risk. So there is starting already for me a little bit the key facts for that elements what comes to a top horse, and it doesn't matter if it's dressage, show jumping, eventing, all these kinds. So there is a lot of things also for us, for example, back x-rays, and it's changed, thanks God again. In old days we never had back x-rays. Then we had a time where back x-rays was the everybody wanted to have back x-rays. Nowadays it's going down again, because we've all find out, is the horse rideability there? Is there a willingness? Even there is horses with kissing spine in the international top sport, and they have never a problem. Maybe they have to be treated in the wild. So these are also big elements for me. What makes a top sport horse or an amateur horse? We always talk about a top dressage horse. We always talk about the high end, but we have not only high end, we have only one Olympic winner every 4 years. So in between, there is so many different customers, people what want to ride first level, second level, third, and even just want to ride for pleasure at home. But they always want to have a good feeling. And so for me, in breeding, is rideability is the biggest adventure. And I think the rideability of our new horses, what we're creating, all the breeders around, the rideability is top. We only have to look that we are not going to put more blood influence in, that we still have the amateur horse. So we have to find that balance. So we have to use stallions what have energy, but also very good rideability, willingness, what they also give to the offspring. It's not that the stallion is super and he don't give it to his offsprings. For sure, for us, it's also more or less counting the mares, what is out of the mother. Especially, we do a lot of embryo transfers, so this gives us a very big opportunity to see maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 offsprings a year from one mare. maybe with the same phase, but also with different blood phases. So there we can combine and see over years. It's not only 1 year. You have to follow this up for several years to see what kind of bloodlines fitting together. So I think that's very important. If I have a very nice story about confirmation and seeing a horse. There was a US team horse called Legolas. He was end of tree. He came to us. The breeder came with him. He was just barely ridden, broken in. Let's say not the prettiest horse. A lot of bones, no muscles. Actually, he looked very ugly when I came into the indoor and the breeder was there and wanted to sell me his horse. Oh shit, he's ugly. Then he started. He had a very good walk. Trot was, well, I would say normal. Normal. I would give him, to be honest, I would give him, if I give him a note, I would give him a 6. Nothing more. The canter was balanced. He could canter very well, good hind motor, even when he had no muscles. And, but it was also not spectacular, you know, not a canter for a 10, a canter for maybe a 7. But then there was a moment, the horse got a little bit excited in the corner. And he was piaffing like hell. I said, phew. Then I didn't say anything too much anymore because I wanted to look a little bit for the price. So finally, I went through that, and yeah. So we had this horse now with a lot of bones, no muscles. So we developed him for the PSI auction in, I think it was 2005 or 6. I don't remember. So he got trained for 1 year. After, I think he was not even ready for doing PF half steps. We take, for example, we take all our young 4-year-olds in January, February. We're taking them and working in hand that they learn the half steps. It's also, not everybody is a talent, but it's also education. Passing by, holding lead rope by a person, getting the contact, and it's education for them. So, and then he came there, I think in April. Then Johannes Augustin at that time did him and said, he can come back in December when we have the auction. We don't need to do him. He had just a got talent for Piaf and Passage. And if you have, I think, the folder there, if you open it up, and there you can see what we have already written in that year. The talent for Piaf and Passage will be a pleasure to produce for any rider. So can you imagine how he was looking? This was about 8-9 months later. How he was looking before when he comes from the breeder. I know it. He was ugly. But there he also changed already. I think you can put me on again. So, but we really could see this talent. And then, okay, everybody knows the story. In the end, my father trained him, and he went to, I think, 2 young horses shows as a 5 or 6-year-old, and then never again on the competition. And he left our place on the 20th of December. And especially that was my father's birthday. And then he went to Stefan Peters. And 2 weeks later, he won the first Grand Prix with 80%. This was his third show, by the way. So this is also, I think, very important in the education of horses. The elements where we have to talk about. If you, let's say, in this kindergarten, what I explained before, the first contact with people, lunging, putting a bridle on, putting a saddle on, having the first rider on. I think this is the key for a successful sport horse or horse, whatever type he has to do. If something goes wrong there, it's like with children. If they going to a kindergarten and something goes, or preschool, and something in one class or goes something wrong, they're struggling with this. And some, they don't get it anymore. And that's very important. And I think this is one of the biggest elements where we have to look for, that in the education of a young horse, especially breaking in, that you take a lot of care there, that your horse is relaxed, ready enough, and then, for example, what we are doing, we break them in as a 3-year-old. The stallions we can't put back on the field, but let's say most of them, we put them back on the field and restart them in autumn or beginning of the following year now. Because we figured out what I have learned once. You start at that moment, or that point where you stop, you start exactly at that point. So, but okay, also there, every horse is different. You can't say 3 months, 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. Every horse needs the time. One needs 4 months. Maybe one you say, is it the right thing to, because he's nervous maybe, or whatever, or he has still problems with people. What can happen? Should we keep him inside and play with him? So we ride him 1 or twice a week, and then we're having paddock, or just that he has a little bit that social contact. So these are parts where every horse is different, and where we all have to look for that horse have to have or get that chance.
There's
Yeah?
a question that's come in. When you have one of these horses who maybe looks, you don't know the history, it's a young horse who's come to you, you did not breed it, and maybe is a little bit leery, and something maybe in preschool did go wrong. Do you find that kind of putting them out in the field, and does that help them to reset rather than really firmly ingrain the problems?
I think maybe you have to work a little bit on that problem, that you let's say, if a horse is a little naughty, you have to maybe start again from the bottom. It's like kids. When you have a problem, you go 2 steps backwards, and then you try to make that steps quicker again, that you are reaching the point as the others again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think if like I said, what is very important for us, it is the elements when we having the breeding on our side, what we know about the horses. Good example is Duke of Britain. It's one of our horses, ridden by Frederick Wanders. It's international top horse. we bought him as a yearling. We bought his mother at that time. So then we breed with the mother. First years was okay, but then we figured out what breeding lines we have to use. Then we used Bordeaux. Then we had a Bundes champion, Bitcoin. Then there's another horse now already in the Grand Prix by Bordeaux. Then, okay, we got a mare. We used, we rode her for 3 months to see how the rideability was top. Then we decided what we are doing. I think we need to keep her in the breeding. And this is also, I think, and now she produced already PSI horses. So this is very important that you get if you're breeding, that you have your own foundation and don't breed with your top mare, and maybe invest in an embryo transfer, but also use good recipient mares, not a polo pony or a trotter or whatever, because their body is smaller and the foal will not have the same size as a warm blood horse. So these are all aspects for me to come a sport horse in the end. But okay, now we went already a step backwards again. I think what are elements to receiving in the international sport or into the sport with a younger, let's say 5, 6, 7 years old horses. Okay, you have a 5-year-old horse, 6-year-old horse, you want to compete. But don't ride them every week on the competition or every second week. They still have to have fun when they're at 15. And I think there is a very good speech online everybody can see from Nelson Pessoa. He's talking the same as I do now, and I think this is very important. Don't override your horse in a young age too many shows. For sure you can compete but not 12 times or 15 times a year, because this will be hard for them. So, and then later on, I think you don't have the right energy anymore, or the spirit, what you need. You need a little sharpness in the higher sport, and you want to keep that sharpness. And if it's a daily routine, then it comes also to an fact where you say, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I do it with half impression. So this is very important, our ways. And I think if there is questions still now, then we can go ahead with questions.
So I think one of the questions that has come in a couple times regarding this session in particular is the balance of the temperament of the horse and the rideability. If you could dive into the definition of rideability a little more. Is it the temperament of the horse? Is it the way the conformation works while it's moving? Is it all of those things? What exactly?
Yeah. Okay, for me, rideability is, it can be a very sharp horse, can also have a top rideability, but you need to have a secured rider, because maybe he jumps left and right or is a little spooky. But the rideability, let's go a little bit into the breeding. If you're taking Vitalis offsprings, they are, in my opinion, I really like them for a professional and an amateur. They always are with an uphill tendency, good front horses, maybe you can talk a little bit over the hind leg, but that's still okay in my opinion. So the conformation, the body, you have sometimes a little longer horse, what you have to close. And every rider is different. One rider likes to have a horse what is more forward, and one rider is a rider who like to be a little bit more active in the saddle. So it's very difficult to say what is the 100%, what is the best, because every rider is different.
There's some questions also about, I mean, your video even highlighted how different it is nowadays. You can buy a horse you've not seen in person, you know, the video chat, you have the video options, and, you know, the way you highlight the videoing of the behavioral aspect of watching the horse move around. Are you finding that it is, from your perspective, easier to find a suitable match now because you can share information across greater distances, or is it still a little bit trickier to match a horse and a rider successfully if it's done virtually?
Yeah, me personally, I hate it. I like to have the contact with the client, and especially a new client, that I have a little bit. For me, the information is good from the trainer maybe, or from the person that I get a video. If I don't know them and they want to buy online, I'm not against it. It's a good marketing tool, but I like it more in person. But okay, you have to deal with this, otherwise somebody else is doing it. But I would like always to have background information about my new customer. So how is he riding? Can you send me please a video? And maybe the trainer is also in charge in it. So then he can explain me, oh, he needs this and this. And also then over the conversations, you get an idea what he have done and what particular horse in your mind he should get. And then it's okay, money is always a charge. You ask what kind of budget, and then you make a group, and then you maybe send those 2-3 horses what you have in mind, what your feeling is could work. So then you send it, and then he decides, I want this. But we always say, for example, this is the good thing about our size. If something don't turn out very well, we always can do something. So I like to say a good speech about we are not selling a computer, we're selling a lifetime partner. And so also a partnership can be getting divorced, and it can happen, and you have to find the right match, and this is for sure easier if you see a rider testing the horse. It's much easier. But for example, with an existing client, when you know exactly who it is, how he's riding, he's maybe already 10-15 years your client, you know exactly what type of horse fits, you can make it blind. It will work.
That's fascinating. There's a question, do you ever buy foals or yearlings or 2-year-olds that you did not breed yourself? And how do you kind of make those decisions at that age, and what the value of that animal might bring?
Yes, we do. We also do a lot of foal auctions online, especially this is running really well. Because also there, I think we don't have that riding directly, so we still need to see, well, we have 2 or 3 years time to wait, and then we have the first rider on. But there, I also look a lot on the pedigree. What have been out of this family? Then for sure, which stallion is there? Has he? What have he produced? How's the offsprings doing in sport? Or maybe you had I had myself one of those or two, and then I said, oh, I don't like that breeding so much. So you always, but if there is a super foal, we buy.
Thank you. There's a question about the process of matching a stallion to a mare. Can you talk a little about what you think about there?
Yeah. Okay, if you have, for example, you're talking about a smaller mare, short neck, maybe long body, but not too long legs, and so you want to have everything upgraded there. So you go also into the dam line, what have been out of this family, and maybe what have worked well with the grand dam, or so you try to bring a little bit the same bloodlines again, what have worked in the old days already. Maybe you can choose from a big genetic pool around there, so where these bloodlines have been maybe in the stallion as an influence. So, and then you look that, for example, if you want to have the neck uphill or longer, you look for a stallion what also produce. It's not only that when the stallion is himself like this, that he's producing a longer neck or a longer back or whatever. So you always have to look, how is the offspring of this stallion, and then you try to match it with your mare. And I think this is very important, that you're not looking in the catalog and oh, he is nice, we take him. Go a little bit deeper. What have been, there's many internet platforms nowadays, Horse Telex or whatever, where you can stalk your own horse a little bit and see a little bit around what is coming out, and what breeding lines have been made there. There you can find a lot of information what can help you in your breeding. But also there, I think if your offsprings are coming out of this mare, you try it for 3, 4, 5 years and nothing really has worked, maybe change the mare and buy a new mare, and if you want to breed.
Do you have a favorite line right now that you're liking what's being produced?
I especially still like the old bloodlines. Don Schufro, Sir Donahal on the mother side is a absolutely successful for good horse. But you also have still like Weltmeier somewhere. It's a little bit the matches in the mother line. I think for me the mother brings the most impact in this, instead of using the stallion. I think the mother line is the foundation for successful breeding. And okay, then for sure you have Totilas, but for example, Totilas he's not a full producer. He is a horse like De Niro. De Niro, for example, never had really high success with his offspring in young horse classes, but he's the world best Grand Prix maker. So, and I think this we will find with Totilas too in the future. He is already proved that there is a lot of Grand Prix horses, but it's coming also about his genetic over Gribaldi. Gribaldi is also one of the biggest Grand Prix makers. So there you see that genetic is there, but also Gribaldi was also not a big producer for young horses. So you have modern stallions what produce high trotting, big movement. So there is always a mix. This education part, is a horse trainable? For sure, a horse with a huge movement, has it always difficult to reach into the high Grand Prix sport than a horse with a maybe normal trot. But with the willingness to get produced and that is able to do half steps and passage. For sure, you need quality there too, but a bigger mover is difficult to train.
There's a question. You mentioned you have used a lot of the embryo transfers. Have you ever been tempted to get into cloning?
No. I think cloning is in the end, it is only a genetic part. You can't clone the history of one horse. There we are already there where I started, what happened as a young horse, the whole training, developing, you can't clone this. So for me, it is a genetic part to maybe keep that genetic as a stallion into the breeding. But the success in cloning horses, what have been in sport, I think have been not so successful so far.
Thank you. We have a member who'd love to hear a little bit more about when would be the ideal time you think to view a foal, and to what kind of attributes to grade there. What would be, if you had to, your ideal timeline there?
For example, we watch our foals after the 7 days of Earth. This gives you good information about size, how big they are. We measure every foal. This gives you also later on a statistic, how big they have to be to reach this and this.
Yeah.
And there's also jumps out what are not working, but you get a pretty good idea. So you judge a foal, and then I like to watch them, especially when they're young, first time in the stable aisle, a little bit trotting with the mother, and there you can see already if he has shoulder freedom and a good hind leg. Even there sometimes, they're a little bit crooked left and right. This is normal. It has to grow out, and so there we start to look at a foal. If you purchasing a foal, for sure a foal looks nicer when it's the first and second months, still third, but then it's coming already the time when they get a little longer hair that don't look anymore so good. And also in the end, for us it's very interesting sometimes. You see a foal yourself, you watch them the first months, you see him sometimes, and then we put them out on the field and bye-bye. And then you see a foal auction. Jesus, yesterday I went on the field. Oh, once they don't look like this. So Okay, if it's coming to auctions and all this, they also get prepared for that auction. That's normal. They are nicely in shape, clipped, and then it's marketing. But if I see sometimes an horse on the field, I say, "Ooh, he's ugly," but that's normal. That's nature.
Let's see. There's a question. Are you currently breeding ponies?
Very nice question. Yes, I have to. My kids, they have 2 pony mares already, so I'm a little bit in there. So and our main guy in our breeding station, he is also a very big pony producer. He has a lot of stallions, and so a very successful German breeder, Hubert Hemmelgarn. And so he gives me a little bit more advice in the pony breeding, because I don't have a clue which stallion I have to use. And even the mother lines, I have no. I need to study that.
A whole different world.
Yeah.
There's a question about, there's a couple questions about kind of the dynamics of your business. You have a very, very well-established family business. Curious if you each kind of have your own areas of the business, or do you all make group decisions about every animal? Do you have your own animals that are kind of yours, divvied up that way? How does that work behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes. Oh, that's pretty easy. Everybody is running behind me. No. We have in our team very long-term employees by us, would also have a lot of 100% trust from our family side. So we have one for the farming and maintain. Then we have one for veterinarian, one for the people. Then we have the trainers, and one for the breeding, one for the kitchen. We have our own kitchen, a cook. So every department has a leader. So, and then we have group meetings or single meetings, and then if there is something not running well, what is normal, it's not everything is golden. So then we try to figure that in a smaller meeting out, and maybe I have to speak also sometimes to one of the other employees. Maybe we have to change it, please no fights or whatever. So you sometimes go with a fire hose there.
Fair enough. Your opinion on the young horse classes, do they help the sport, or are they kind of a thing in and of themselves?
No, I'm absolutely not against it. I like that, and but we have to be aware. Don't override or overshow your horses.
Okay.
Maybe if you have a little bit of problem that a horse is a little bit spooky, let's say, maybe put him on the trailer and drive to your best friend and ride him there one time. That he only gets a little bit the fear away, but don't stress him too much, and that he still enjoys to go to a horse show.
And do you see a correlation, or the a lot of the Grand Prix horses that are developed, are they coming from the young horse winners, or is that still kind of just not really a predictable path?
That's a very good question. For sure, if you see in the big sport, there's not many horses with the biggest walk. And if, for example, now you have a young horse world championships, you need a walk for 10, otherwise you're not in the top 5 or top 10. But later on in the Grand Prix sport, if you have a 7 or 7.5 in the walk, you're totally happy. But also now I think there will be coming more horses out of this younger horse classes like it used to be.
There's a question again about technology. I know we talked about how you feel about selling horses from a distance using technology. What about the actual breeding and management of genetics? What has been, in your opinion, one of the best helpful technologies to come out in developing, solid bloodlines for sport horses?
Technologies. I don't need too much technologies. I have my computer in my head, and I have we using cards where we write everything down, and where we have a picture of the mother when she was maybe 2 or 3 years old, and so pictures of the offsprings, how they look 2, 3 year old. So we even in this part we are not we are still a little bit old-fashioned, and I think also you can look a lot of things up in the internet, and also breeding I think is still you can plan a lot of things, but the good thing is that the nature is also still speaks a word with there.
Great. And there's, of course, the fact that you've expanded a little bit. You've got a place in Wellington this year. Is it something your organization is doing, is expanding more? Do you have plans to expand to another physical location, or is this pretty good for now?
That's actually only a winter base. So we are going over there because a lot of Americans come in the summer to us, stay by us, train by us. And so we also train a couple of Americans, especially now we have the whole para team based by us, and we had very great success last weekend in Doha with all the wins for the United States. So and we are using the place as a little bit like, not a vacation place, but we are working there, training there, our people, and maybe do 1 or 2 side business there. But in general, we are there for developing our horses and competing and making connection with new friends of us.
Okay. Are you doing that anywhere else, or is it just there and Germany?
That we have bases, no. We have we have trainers in China sitting working for us, Taiwan. We're going to India. We have people what are traveling for us around, train, educate people, help in the management in some of those developing countries. And this is also, I think, the key for success. Selling is one part, but the after-sales service, I think that's a very big advantage. What you need to do, especially if you're going to developing countries. If you're taking China, for example, I think my wife was there 23 years ago, bringing the first horses to Beijing on a plane, and I think the airport was really blocked. I think there was 11,000 people around the aircraft because the first time horses on Beijing airport. So, and at that time there were 3 riding clubs. Decent quality was okay, but not super. Now we have in Beijing 150 and better quality than we have. So they try to copy us, but in the management they can't copy us, and in history they can't copy us. So still there, we are a little bit ahead of them.
That's really
But
fascinating.
we like to educate people, and that also the horses have a good home, and I have to say, a lot of people, for example, if I trade a horse in, they say, please don't send him to Asia or whatever. He should have it good. I said, you haven't been there, you don't know. It's a really, I have to say, there's nowadays a lot of horse people now, and I think this is a change in our sport too. Our sport is very, very global. If you see the starting lists in Wellington now, there is South America, there is Korea, there is Australia, some riders from Germany, okay, France, but it's internationally, so it's more global than ever, and I think the globalness will make also there a very big step forward.
Thank you. That's fascinating. One last question just to close. I know we're almost at time. Do you have any stories from your career where maybe an odd breeding that ended up with a really great horse that you didn't think was really going to work out as well as it did?
Yeah, what I have, there's a story. I made my berider, my professional, at the stable of Paul Schockemüller, and then I was a jumping rider before, and I also rode then later on a little bit dressage, and at that time I also made the stallions for the license ready. A few more I have to run every day. At that time I was maybe a little bit fitter. But then there was the stallion, a black stallion called Sandroid. He was 5 years of age. He was, yeah, not the easiest person, and then, but I really liked the quality, and then I spoke to the manager. I think we need to get him to Hagen. I know one rider. It was Ulf at the time. He was working with Müller. He was working at the time for us. And then I said, okay. Paul agreed, and then I sent him. I was driving Sandroid over, and I said, Ulf, I think it's a top horse, but have to be a little bit aware. He can do a little bit left and right shit. Okay. They were a team. In the end, they were a team, and they become world champion. And if you look now in all pedigrees, yeah, nearly all of them, you find that stallion in one of those pedigrees, and I think he did a lot for the breeding and for the sport. Okay, his name was, some people named him Sandro Shit, but they also had a little bit the information how he was as a young horse. But nowadays on mother's side, this is often so done. How many stallions he produced and top horses. I think that's outstanding, and I think, yeah, I don't know if I founded him, but I secured him.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know it's, now 2:30 in the morning where you are. We're so appreciative.
There's no problem.
Wonderful information. We're getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. So really informative, fascinating conversation, and you've made our week. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all for your time, and whenever you are looking for something, or questions, don't hesitate to send us an email or call me or call our salespeople. We are more than happy to help you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You as well. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.